You woke up this morning and made a choice, coffee or tea. But here's a question that should disturb you. Was that really your choice? Or did someone else decide for you 3 months ago when you saw an ad you don't even remember? Mind control isn't what you see in movies. There's no hypnotic spiral, no sinister villain. The real mind control is invisible. It's in your grocery store, your Netflix queue, the order of search results, and the color of the Buy Now button. Welcome to the architecture of persuasion, where you're not being told what to think, you're being taught what to want. In 1954, a social psychologist named Leon Festinger infiltrated a doomsday cult. They believed the world would end on December 21st. When the world didn't end, something fascinating happened. They didn't leave the cult. They believed harder. Festinger called this cognitive dissonance, the mental torture we experience when reality contradicts our beliefs. Now here's what nobody tells you. Companies engineer cognitive dissonance into your life every single day. When Netflix introduced autoplay in 2016, they framed it as convenience. But what really happened is they removed your moment of choice. The next episode starts in 5, 4, 3. You're not deciding to watch. You're deciding whether to make the effort to stop. This is what philosopher B.F. Skinner called operant conditioning. Netflix didn't ask you to binge. They made not binging the harder option. You're not weak-willed. You're responding exactly as designed. Jean-Paul Sartre warned about bad faith, when we pretend we have no choice to avoid the responsibility of choosing. But what happens when the illusion of no choice is engineered? When the path of least resistance is mapped before you arrive? Here's your first defense. Recognize the default. Autoplay, recommended for you, pre-checked boxes, most popular. These aren't neutral, they're choices someone else made for you. Every time you see a default, pause and ask, what would I choose if this wasn't here? Think about your screen time yesterday. How many hours were intentional? How many were just, what came next? In 1957, a market researcher named James Vickery claimed he'd flashed drink Coca-Cola and eat popcorn during movies, messages too fast to consciously see. Sales supposedly skyrocketed. It was later revealed as a hoax. But here's what's terrifying. The truth is more sophisticated than the lie. Natasha Dow-Schul spent 15 years studying gambling addiction in Las Vegas. She discovered something chilling. Slot machines aren't designed to make you win. They're designed to make you keep playing. Variable reward schedules, near misses that feel like wins, sounds that trigger dopamine. Every element is calibrated to hijack your brain's reward system. Now look at your phone. Every app is a slot machine. Pull to refresh? That's a slot lever. Random notifications? Variable reward schedule. That little red badge? A near miss saying you're almost caught up. Infinite scroll? No natural stopping point. Tristan Harris, a former Google ethicist, revealed that tech companies employ attention engineers, people whose job is to keep you hooked. Not with products you need, but with the feeling of needing. The ancient philosopher Epicurus taught that peace comes from fulfilling natural needs and eliminating artificial desires. But what happens when billion-dollar industries exist solely to create artificial desires? When your brain can't distinguish between thirst and the urge to check Instagram? The antidote is friction. Add barriers between impulse and action. Delete apps you have to consciously reinstall. Use grayscale mode, color triggers emotion, set intentional check-in times. Ask before opening, what am I looking for? If you can't name it, you don't need to scroll. How many times today have you checked your phone without knowing why? Words aren't neutral. George Orwell knew this when he wrote 1984. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. In the novel, language controls thought. Change the words, change reality. You think this is fiction? Let me show you it's a documentary. In 2003, Republican strategist Frank Luntz didn't want to stop climate change. He wanted to stop people talking about it. So he ran focus groups and discovered something. Global warming scared people. Climate change sounded natural, cyclical. He advised Republicans to use climate change. They did. The conversation shifted. He didn't change facts, he changed frames, and frames control perception. Your grocery store uses this constantly. 90% fat-free sounds healthier than 10% fat. Identical information, different frame. Artisan means expensive, not better. Natural flavors is a legal term meaning almost nothing. Serving suggestion means the picture is a lie. Every word is chosen, none by accident. In 2010, the UK government created the Behavioural Insights Team, literally called the Nudge Unit. Their job? Use psychology to change citizen behaviour without them noticing. They'd redesign tax letters and change default organ donor status, and it worked. Tax collection increased, organ donation increased, and most people never knew they'd been nudged. The government called it libertarian paternalism. You're free to choose, but we're engineering what you'll choose. Michel Foucault argued that power doesn't just restrict, it produces. It produces knowledge, discourse, and reality. The most effective control isn't oppression. It's when you police yourself because the architecture makes it feel like your idea. Become a language detective. When someone says, studies show, ask which studies. When you see natural, proven, revolutionary, recognize these are marketing, not meaning. When choices are presented, ask, what choices aren't being shown? The question isn't whether language manipulates, it's whether you notice. In 1935, psychologist Solomon Asch ran an experiment. He put people in rooms and asked them to identify which line was longer. Simple task. Except everyone else in the room, who were secretly actors, gave the wrong answer. 75% of real participants gave the wrong answer at least once. They didn't trust their own eyes over the group. That was one room, one test. Now imagine that room is the entire internet. In 2017, a man named Uber Butler wanted to expose how fake online reviews were. So he invented a restaurant that didn't exist, The Shed at Dulwich. He created a website, fake reviews, and mouth-watering photos of food he made from bleach and cleaning products. Within months, it became the #1 rated restaurant in London on TripAdvisor. People called trying to book. The Shed had no address, no menu, no food, just social proof. And social proof is the most powerful persuasion tool ever invented. Every bestseller badge, every million users, every people also bought, these aren't information. They're instructions. Your brain sees the herd moving and thinks, they know something I don't. And maybe they do. But probably, they're following someone else who's following someone else who's following an algorithm designed to make everyone follow. Nietzsche warned about herd mentality when people outsource their thinking to the crowd. He said, madness is rare in individuals, but in groups, it's the rule. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You must be willing to be wrong alone, rather than wrong together. When everyone says the same thing, that's when you investigate hardest. Consensus isn't truth. Sometimes it's just coordination. So now you know. You know about the defaults, the architecture, the language, the herd. Now what? 3 principles for self-mastery. 1. Accept you're being influenced. You can't be immune, but you can be aware. Socrates said, know thyself. Today that means know who's trying to shape yourself. 2. Choose your influences. You can't avoid manipulation, but you can select your manipulators. Would you rather be shaped by algorithms maximizing engagement or by philosophers maximizing wisdom? Both are influence. Only one serves you. 3. Build decision rituals. Viktor Frankl taught that between stimulus and response is a space. In that space is your power. Create rituals that force you into that space. Sleep on purchases. Write down decisions before making them. Ask, will I remember this choice in a year? The goal isn't perfect choices, it's conscious ones. Here's what keeps me up at night. The most dangerous mind control is the kind you defend. When you hear this information and think, that doesn't apply to me, that's when you're most vulnerable. Because the best chains are the ones you don't feel. Plato said prisoners in the cave don't know they're prisoners until someone shows them the sun. Consider this your glimpse of sunlight. What you do with it, that's the only choice that was ever really yours. Comment one thing you've been unconsciously influenced to do this week. Not to shame yourself, to practice seeing. Because the moment you see the strings, you can decide whether to cut them or dance with them intentionally. The mind you save might be the one watching this video.